This is Phil Williams
on BBC Radio 5 Live.
So, at 19 minutes past 11, big Tuesday night interview this evening is with a band who've been together 33 years, sold 16 million singles and albums, and had 3 number one singles and 4 number one albums. This year, Wet, Wet, Wet are celebrating their 20th anniversary of their album Picture This, which featured Lovers All Around from 4 Weddings and a Funeral. As well as re-releasing the album, they're touring the UK next year to play songs from it. And I caught up with Marti, Pellow and Graeme Clark from the band to talk about their longevity. And they were joined by Fifth Wet Graeme Duffin, who plays acoustic guitar, as they perform 2 songs exclusively acoustically for you this evening on 5 Live, one of which being that 15-week number one, Love Is All Around. There's some stuff up on the 5 Live Facebook page already, so have a look at that. You'll hear one of the songs before the 11:30 news and the other after, as we bring you Wet, Wet, Wet talking and performing tonight on 5 Live. And the interview begins with me asking Graeme Clark to explain what it's like to have been in a band for 33 years.
I was going to say, no, it's been longer than that, but no, it has been in 1982, just after we left school. You know, and the climate being in Scotland, that there was no jobs. So once we came out of school, usually the school leavers, the school gates would open and the shipyard gates would open, and all the school kids would move into the shipyards. And of course, at that time in the early 80s, there was no jobs, and you know, so and it was a blessing in disguise, really, because then we could, you know, we could devote nearly all of our time to playing in a band. And you know, there was lots of ways of getting out there back then. You know, it's a completely different landscape now, but back then, you know, there was lots of bands around, there was lots of places to play, and we always kind of envisaged in our minds that, you know, we wanted some sort of recording contract that we could go and make some records and, you know, go out and do that. You know, little did we know, you know, it was a dream. It was a pipe dream and something that we aspired towards, you know. I think in our wildest dreams we thought it might happen, man, you know, but I mean, just it surprises me even today that I'm here talking about, you know, the last 30 years, I feel like, you know, and going out there and sort of the band just going from strength to strength, selling millions of records. I mean, I came in here with the ambition of selling 1 million records,
right? And
we've done that 16 times over. So we're doing okay, you know. And as I said, it's you know, a life in a band it's up and down, man. You know, one minute you're a peacock, the next you're a feather duster, as I've heard. And, you know, it's no different playing in a band. You know, you sell millions of records and then maybe the next one you don't sell any at all, and then you can sell another 1 million records again, the next one after that. So it's amazing. It's been it's, for want of a better cliche, it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, well, the stats are fantastic. So you mentioned the 16 million records, but you've been in the singles and album charts for over 500 weeks, 27 top 40 singles, 4 number one albums, 3 number one singles. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on.
That's great.
Playing to more than 4 million people in 25 countries. How difficult though was it, Marti, when you were at school and you were trying to find people to be in a band with? How difficult was it to find other lads that were listening to the same music as you? Because you're a soul boy, aren't you? Well, you're all soul boys.
Yeah, but I mean, when I discovered the rest of the guys in the band, and I said I can make you famous. If that's what you're looking for. Well, what brought us together was our love of music, you know. So it was like when we'd all sit at the break, we'd kind of hang out together and we'd be talking about music, and that was the first port of call. And then it was a matter of time before we kind of just said, well, we like music that much. Why don't we be in a band? And, you know, and Graeme could play bass, and Tommy had an inclination to play drums and still does. And you know, Neil he wanted to be the drummer originally, didn't he? But
did he really?
Aye. Yeah. But he could get higher purchase, so he became the keyboard player, and I became the singer. And then that's when we started dreaming together, you know, and thought, you know, wouldn't it be amazing that if this could be our vocation in life? And because I don't know if it's naivety and a heady combination of youth and arrogance that says that's the way it's going to be, and woe betide anybody who tells you it's going to be any different. And you have 4 guys who have this little vision and this little dream, and then it's 5, and then it's 6 people, and then it goes on to other people who see that in you and cultivate that, and want to make your dreams become a reality, and then millions of people came on and subscribed to it, and that was the start of it. And I think that's the way we always wanted it to be, and that's the way it pretty much panned out, you know. And so for us, it's that's special, you know. I do remember it from leaving school at 16 and to really first going to like maybe Memphis in 85. There was like 4 years, which felt like 40 years. You know, but it was really in the big scheme of things.
And what were you doing in those intervening years?
We were working on songs like Angel Eyes and Sweet Little Mystery and Wishing I Was Lucky. And, you know, during the day, Graeme's mum would go away to work and we'd go in the house and work on these wee little ideas, and hopefully something would come out of them. So that's what we were doing, really.
It was funny, you know, after the first album, someone asked the question, how long did it take you to write Angel Eyes? And we said 5 years, you know, because it had lots of different incarnations. We wrote some of these songs in 1982 and 1983, but they were kind of embryonic versions, you know. They were kind of, we knew they had something, and we just had to, you know. I think it's safe to say when you're 17, you just go, you know, songwriting, I think I can do that, you know, and you just go gung-ho at it.
Well, I'm delighted to say that not only are they talking to us tonight, but the boys are going to play for you on 5 Live, and they are back on the road next year, so it's the 20th anniversary, believe it or not, where have those 20 years gone, for the number one album, Picture This.
Yeah.
So what's the first song you're going to do for us? I presume it's on that album.
Yes, it's the two of them are from the album, but the first one's Gypsy Girl, and it's basically, you know, it was a stripped back acoustic, you know. It's great to write songs, it's great to dress them up in the studio and have all these production techniques, but this is one that we can strip back down to a guitar again and just play it. And that's the beauty of Picture This, I think. It had lots of different shades, lots of different colours, you know. It had big productions, it also had little productions, and it had kind of stripped back acoustic songs, and there's nowhere to hide, you know. I mean, it's just the music, a couple of guitars and a voice, you know, so it lives and stands by that.
That's the best way, you know. That's where you come from, singer-songwriters such like James Taylor, you know, for the want of a better word, or even Glenn Campbell, where you strip those songs and they hold themselves. And, you know, they're just little songs that seem to roll off the tongue and tumble well. And from a singer's point of view, you can just sit and swim in that all day. You know, it's the lovely imagery, wet, at the simplest.
Well, Marti and Graeme Clark are going to make their way over to a little performance area that we've set up for them. Yeah. There'll be some photos of this available for you on our website. We'll also tweet them out. They've been joined by the man who's known colloquially as the Fifth Wet, Graeme Duffin, who is not allowed to speak. He's on strict orders, but he will play. So, hello, Graeme Duffin.
Hello.
Very nice to have you with us.
There you go.
So,
Great to be here, thank you.
Hey.
What did we say about that speaking thing?
Shut at you.
Oi.
Playing exclusively live before they fall out again. No. Live for us, it's Marti and the two Graemes, Wet, 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 and this is Gypsy Girl.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And 10 years before my time, I sang a song to a friend of mine about a girl working for a dime. I didn't know that gypsy girl, but I knew about a kind of thrill. Her love was cheap and always up for sale. Now who picture this? I was alone. When I fell in love, I was alone with my gypsy girl. Now gypsy lady's lost her soul, and she's so scared of growing old. But words don't age for me, they turn to gold. And gypsy girl with raven hair holds my hopes into the air. She's the one that never seemed to care. Now who picture this? I was alone. When I fell in love, I was alone. Ooh, with my gypsy girl. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Come on, sing with me. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Now who picture this? I was alone. When I fell in love, I was alone. Ooh, with my gypsy girl.
From the album Picture This, that's Marti, Pellow, Graeme Clark and Graeme Duffin, Wet Wet Wet, performing Gypsy Girl acoustically for you this evening on 5 Live.
Across the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
With Phil Williams.
And our big Tuesday night interview tonight is with Wet Wet Wet. Before the news, you heard Marti, Pellow, Graeme Clark and Graeme Duffin play acoustic version of Gypsy Girl from their hit album Picture This, which is 20 years old this year. They've reissued the album to celebrate it. They're going on tour next year to play songs from that album, plus, of course, a few of their other greatest hits. And this is part 2 of our interview with Marti and Graeme Clark, and then the 3 perform Love Is All Around at the end of this section of the interview. So in this part, we start by discussing whether the way that they perform and the way that Marti's voice works has changed over the 33 years they've been together.
Well, I think it's, that, like I said, this is a classic way to sing these songs. They're very stripped down, and, the whole way that you approach them like that with 2 acoustic guitars, it's just special. They're simple and they just roll off the tongue. It's like a wee conversation we're having,
It was superb. Thank you so much. Another song to come tonight on 5 Live. Graeme, you were talking about how the landscape has changed for a band. I mean, I remember when Popped In Sold Out came out, I was the Smash Hits reader. I was reading all about what you were doing in Smash Hits. And now those magazines aren't there anymore, and the NME's gone to free, and there are fewer music shows on the Saturday morning slot. It's not there anymore, is it? So how do you get your stuff out there now?
Yeah, it just seems that the music business doesn't really kind of know what it is anymore, and of course, back then, I think you can draw the parallel that, there was 4 channels, and as you say, you were one of the guys that bought Smash Hits. Now that would have been like sort of, you're no different to a lot of teenagers back then. Nowadays, lots of teenagers and lots of other people as well, they'll be reading not just one Smash Hits, but like 40,000 versions of Smash Hits, as well as 40,000 channels of radio and TV. So, a lot of fragmentation in the media, hasn't really helped. Certainly the Saturday morning in our day, you would get your record on Radio 1. You would do Top of the Pops and a Saturday morning telly, and lo and behold, you would have a hit, and it was fairly basic and straightforward. Nowadays it's completely different. I'm reluctant to go down the route, it was much better in my day and it's not good now, because it's not. I think it's more of a level playing field, whereas before it was fairly elitist. If you had a major record deal, then you were lucky enough to have big marketing budgets, and you could get your music out that way. It as I said, it creates a level playing field for a lot of people when you can kind of go through your social network, your Facebook, your Twitter, your band's website, and you can get your message out there. It's there's a lot of noise out there, there's a lot of low-level noise in that department, so we're quite lucky that we have a history that we created for, 25, 30 years, so, we can tap into that. There's a lot of people out there that are aware of, the brand, for what I hate using that, but the brand Wet 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 is something that people know about.
And when we go on the road in 2016, there will be a little bit of educating going on as well as entertaining, where you can drop a few of these new songs and say, hey, look, come on, this is where we're at. And that will give them time to go buy some T-shirts and go to the toilet. But it's hard, it's hard, and it's no hard. It's hard. It was hard putting out the first single, and it'll be hard putting out our next venture, whatever format it is. It's just a way for us to show a different colour.
So the Big Picture Tour next year starts Sunday 21st of February at the Rill Pavilion, goes right the way through to Monday the 14th of March in Inverness, and there's Aberdeen, Glasgow on there in Scotland as well.
There's lots of
and
in
big
between.
arenas. These big arenas.
Great, man. I mean, there's nothing better than taking your show out in an arena, you know, and it's just such a, you know, we're blessed.
Marty, let me ask you what role friendship plays in a band like this when you've been together from school days to right through your adult life, because there's been various comings and goings, hasn't there? And
well, I think when you went to the time where it all starts to make sense is when we're all doing what we do, and what I mean by that is, you know, Graeme's playing the bass, I'm singing, Neil's doing the piano, Tommy's drumming, Graeme Duffin on guitar. That's when it all makes sense. That's when it goes beyond friendship and it comes to a place where it just is, and then it's its purest form. And you're not, you're in a moment and you're creating something, and that's magic. But most importantly, there's another 10,000 people who are buying into that circle, and that's when it's at its purest, and that's when you go, hey, that's real, and that is priceless.
And how much truth is there in this? The reformation that you had in 2004, was that as a direct result of the death of your mum? Was that when the boys represented for you at the funeral, and that was when you got back together to write songs?
Well, I think that was a catalyst, and I think there you go. There's another example. You talk about friendship or whatever. I think in moments of fragility, great fragility, that I was going through there, I looked around, and in that room was people who were close to me, who also happened to be in a band called Wet Wet Wet. But the most importantly, all that sort of stuff peels away, and that is the beauty of what the band is. I mean, we might argue, you know, we're like brothers, and we argue and we shout at each other, but when we're playing my music, and I'll go back to that every time, that's when it makes sense, because we can't do that stuff. We do what we do, and we do the stuff that's real.
I think as well, to add to that, you know, we were pretty young when we started the band. We came through the 4 years of school, you know, so yeah, there was a kind of bond formed there, you know, and then of course as we went through the career of Wet Wet, suddenly there was a shared experience that only we experienced, if you know what I mean. You know, we were doing this, we were the people that were number one. We were the people that strange things were happening to, you know, where people are coming up and asking for your autographs or stuff that just, you know, you do that nowadays without thinking about it, but you got to remember, when you come from where we come from, somebody to come up and saying, "Gonna sign this bit of paper," you know, it was just like an alien kind of thing to happen, you know. What do you want my autograph for, you know? I mean, it was, you know, the way I can explain it is we were fairly ordinary people, and extraordinary things happened, and you know, it affects people different ways, man. You know, I mean, we used to look at fame and people that were famous and sort of having success, and it would be like a room, you know, and you would go, there's David Bowie and all that in there, and it looks like big comfy sofas and nice carpets, and then you get the fame and success and are allowed into that room, and you find out that it's got big jaggy and broken bottles and big bits of glass, man, and you're like, this is painful, this fame thing, you know, and it's like the perception of looking at it and then actually being in it is completely different and completely alien, you know. So I think being West of Scotland guys, man, you know, you're born with it, you're in, you know, you've sort of got this inbred mentality that's, you know, I'm a working class guy, you know, I try not to overinflate my ego, and if I do, then there's someone there to go, who do you think you are, man, you know, get back off your high horse here. So, I mean,
Graeme, was just between you and I, was some of that needed when Marty became the focal point, when it was all the magazines wanted the picture of Marty and he was getting the attention? Was there any resentment from the rest of you?
I think we all resented that.
I must come in my defence here. I've got to come in my defence here. Yeah, as the singer of the band, they're going to pick up on the nice looking one. You know, hey, look, that was a tool, and that was a weapon we used to our advantage. But thank heavens we had the songs to fall back on.
Yeah.
I mean, even though when I was 15, I was practicing my autograph.
Were you really?
I was always looking at the big picture of me. I think as a dreamer, you've got, you know, I dreamt about playing Madison Square Gardens. I dreamt about signing signatures. You know what? And I do that. That's what I want. I think if you put it out there, it happens.
I mean, for me, you know, reconciling, you spoke about resentments in the band maybe bubbling over or whatever. you know, what reconciled it was, you know, even today this happens. Whenever anyone comes up, you know, if anyone wants to know anything about the band, you know, and they're getting, oh, what time are you on stage? They go up and ask Marti, right? They don't come and ask me. What are you doing tonight? You know, everything kind of, Marti's almost like the communicator.
Right.
That's the go-to person for everybody, because, of course, he's the one that's singing the songs to them. So, of course, they're the first kind of point of communication, you know. And I think as well, you need to be a certain type of person to stand in the middle of the stage and kind of try and communicate with 10,000 people, man. I mean, that is...
Well, I've often wondered that, because you've got to want to do it in the first place,
Exactly.
Marti, haven't you? But then afterwards, it strikes me that certainly a lot of frontmen I've interviewed then want that reassurance afterwards. Was it good? Was it okay? Was it good? Are you like that?
Well, I think you have an internal meter, you know, and what you do about that. And I think I always saw it as just, you know, an audience as one. As just as one. That's it. It's just one. It's not 10,000 individuals, because as soon as you go down that chain of thought, you let 10,000 consciences in, and that's a hard thing to deal with. If you just see it as one entity, as one person, then it's like one big head, and you just talk to them, and you keep it in that manner, and there's simplicity in that.
But you sound really happy at the moment, and everyone's healthy. Marti, you good? You in good shape now?
Aye, I'm in great shape. You know, I'm like me. I'm like to be a kind of a ready bunny or whatever, a Duracell bunny. You know, I just keep going, man. I keep doing what I do, and I guess if you have a love and a passion for what you do, then that's as you know. Some people would say that's enough for your belly. You know, you just keep doing it. Good days and bad days like everybody else. You know, and
But staying on top of you've described it as addiction. Staying on top of addiction is difficult,
sure.
isn't it? It's a daily battle.
It is indeed, and quite rightly so. Without becoming some sort of poster boy or advocate for it, sobriety is a very important thing to people, and if you can embrace it and have it in your life, then there's so many great things that reverberate from that. So I'm all for, you know, for that. You know, if people are looking for answers, then there's great, you know, one of them is sobriety, and if you can embrace that, you will have peace in your life. And I think on a daily basis, I always tip my hat to that, and I can move forward and do what I do. You know, I'm blessed now to have 16, 17 years. You know, I'm sober longer than I was drunk. You know, and I'm at that stage of my life, and it's good. You know, I get drunk in other ways, and what I mean by that, I find other ways to escape, and let's face it, addiction's is about knowledge. It's a disease, and it's about getting knowledge. And once you have knowledge about anything, then you can't plead ignorance, and you can move forward with it and address your issues. And I was lucky enough to be surrounded by people who could help me do that.
Did you miss the heady days? Frank Skinner says he still misses a drink, even though he knows he can't.
I miss Frank Skinner's heady days as well, actually. Do I miss a pint? Yeah, I can romanticise about that. You know, the difference is now I go around the world in a mineral water. Sometimes I'm a bit crazy and mix them. You know, I'm a bit still, I'm a bit fizzy. You know, about the water.
Sometimes you put a lemon in.
Hey, let's go crazy.
50-50.
Let's
still
not
in sparkling, man. It's still in cartridge,
no mix your mineral waters.
Listen,
everyone's good. Thanks for asking.
No, I'm delighted, and you sound very happy as a unit as well, which is often that's the key, because there aren't many bands. I'm trying to think now, longevity-wise, U2, Rolling Stones, but there aren't many that stay together as long as you without knocking 7 bells out of each other.
No, and that's exactly right. It's for that reason, because it's such a, you know, you're in a bubble, man. You're in a bubble, and you know, nobody really understands what it's like in there. You know, and I'm not saying, oh, it's really hard for me. It's really difficult, but it is like a pressure cooker, man. You know, and you need that valve to let it off. And you know, hats off to anyone that stays in this business and lasts more than 15, 16 years, man. You know, because you know, there is a point in time when you have to step out. You know, and luckily for us, it came at a good point in our life, I think. You know, we'd started to have families and children, and so it was, you know, I filled my life with that, you know, as opposed to what it had been like, where you're filling all the stuff with music and with the band, and when something becomes out of balance and out of kilter, then you might have problems, you know. But so our sabbatical came. I brought up my family, and then lo and behold, after they'd grown up, we're back into it again, and here we are talking to you about 330 years in the music business, you know.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, I'm delighted to say that they're going to do another song for us tonight on 5 Live. And the song is Love Is All Around. And, you know, we need to talk about this song because I'm intrigued by this. 15 weeks at number 1.
Yeah, sure.
I think, Graeme, you're on the record as saying if it was up to you, it would have been a B-side. Why is that?
The band's usually the last people to ask what they think of their music, you know. I think that was said in the heat of, you know, after we'd recorded it, everyone sort of looked at each other and went, this is actually okay. And I said, yeah, it'll make a nice B-side as a kind of tongue-in-cheek.
I see, right.
Kind of, you know, because we knew it was kind of big. We just never knew it was that big, you know. We thought it was okay and we thought, hi, you know, this could maybe go out and do something. But of course, this was before 4 Weddings and a Funeral came out, you know. So, I mean, we'd been asked to be part of 4 Weddings and a Funeral, which we thought, what a strange title for a movie. And we got offered Barry Manilow, Can't Smile Without You, Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive, or the Trogs, Love Is All Around.
Yeah.
So of course it was a no-brainer, you know. We just thought some of these 60 records for me, they don't sound the greatest, you know. So it was a matter of if we tune our guitars, we're going to do a better version than the Trogs, you know. And sort of some of the recycled music that we'd been making fitted perfectly into that. So it kind of came together really quickly, and there was none of that labouring over how are we going to write this verse. We're looking for a 3-syllable word here, and you know, it was all written for us. So it was just a matter of getting it down and putting it down with a good vibe and everyone in the studio playing well and getting that together. And once that came, then it went out, and of course, when people started hearing it, the feedback that was coming back to us was, this is actually, you know, even people that didn't even like the band were coming back and saying, we think this is the best thing you've ever done. So you kind of know that something's in the air, you know, you just don't know how big it's going to be, you know.
By the 15th week, were even you fed up of it?
No, I was gutted we didn't get the 16th week and get the record, man, you know. But listen, at the time, life, as I said before, went into fast forward. It was kind of, I was in slow motion and my life just sort of around me, just events overtook me, and it's hard to put into words what that was like to run round the world trying to be at 4 places at one time and as well trying to make an album.
Yeah.
I don't know how we did it, you know.
Yeah, because that it's on this album, isn't it? Which you're touring. It's on Picture This.
Yeah,
so presumably you were in the middle of Picture This when the film company contacted you.
Oh, this is it, man. I mean, you know, we were all over. We were in Capri recording. We were in Oxford. We were in Reading. We were in Glasgow. We were in the south of France in Miraval. We went over to LA. We were in Dublin. We were everywhere. And when you know, it's not until you kind of come and talk about it that you think, how did we do that happen?
Pass out?
How did that happen when we were kind of... And that's the way it is, you know. I mean, I think kind of that record happened and events overtake you, you know. It's like, oh, this has to be a single then because everyone's playing it, you know. And
can I ask you, right, one of the things I do when I'm conscious, if I interview guys like you who've been interviewed millions of times, right, I'm thinking, well, how do we make it a bit different? What's the one question? So I normally phone a couple of mates of mine and say, listen, I'm doing Wet, Wet, Wet in a couple of days, right? What would you ask them? And I quite like this, right? One of my mates said to me, here's what I want to know. That record was number 1 for 15 weeks, but they didn't write it. Did they make a bean off it?
Absolutely, I'm absolutely minted. You can pass that, man. You know, that was just a byproduct. I mean, surely, I mean, yeah. I think, I mean, hey, it sold millions. You do the math.
yeah, I mean, the thing about it...
Tell your mate we're all right.
Aye.
You still make money even if you don't write it.
Tell your mate this
Yeah.
line. Tell
go
your
on.
mate this line. This is a good one. Well, is he working?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Well, put it this way. We don't need to work for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
No, I'm being flippant there.
No, but that's not down to the one single,
No,
is
of course not.
and that's where you do make money, you know. Maybe Love Is All Around didn't. You know, we didn't get any of the money. Reg Presley did because
And
he
quite
wrote
rightly
it.
so.
it? Yeah.
But
So
we
you don't earn off performing it.
Well, we do. We earn mechanicals, which is a small amount of money
Right.
that gets generated. But where you do make the money is out on the album, and that was the thing. We were an album selling band, so you know that's where we really cashed in. Was, you know, the single did end up making money, and at that time singles were on the way, and it wasn't like the 70s. blockbuster number ones like Slade and all that, where they went out, they were number one, they sold millions of records. This was one of the few in the 90s that did sell millions, so there was money generated there. But we, at that time, renegotiated our record deal with a record company. So, of course, they had all this money coming in, which they could then advance to us. So, I mean, it
was like
it changed their life. Let's put it that way.
It changed their lives, and without being flippant and stuff like that, you know, it made us richer for it. Good, bad, and indifferent. Even some of the programmers. I remember talking to Axel, and he's a computer programmer, and he bought a house on the B-side.
Aye, so the B-side, in those days, the B-side, which he produced, he got a point, or half a point. And so because you got, I mean, we had a B-side as well, so we made money out of that as well. But Axel was a producer. He bought a house in the Austrian Alps through the royalties he made in that record, so... You know,
God
a
bless
lot of
Rich
people
Presley.
benefited in that, you know, so...
Well, let's hear it then, because...
Okay, man.
we've
We're walking over. Thanks for having us, Phil.
Listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for doing it, and good luck with the tour, which is next year. It's the Big Picture Tour around the 20th anniversary release of Picture This. Starts on the 21st of Feb in Real Pavilion. Goes right the way through to the 14th of March, Inverness Leisure Centre. The details are on Wet Wet Wet's website. And to close off tonight, then, playing exclusively, acoustically live for you, this is Marti and Graeme Duffin. Wet Wet Wet, with Love Is All Around.
Hey man, it's great. Here we go. 1, 2, right, how does this go? 4. Bye, baby, bye, bye, bye. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes, yeah. Love is all around me, and so the feeling grows. It's written on the wind, it's everywhere I go. Yes, it is. So if you really love me, come on and let it show. Come on and let it show now. You know I love you, I always will. My mind's made up by the way that I feel. There's no beginning, there'll be no end. 'Cause on my love you can depend. You can depend. I see your face before me as I lay on my bed, yeah. I kinda get to thinking of all the things you said. Oh yes I did. You gave your promise to me, and I give mine to you. Yeah, yeah. I need someone beside me in everything I do, in everything I do now. You know I love you, I always will. My mind's made up by the way that I feel. There's no beginning, there'll be no end. 'Cause on my love you can depend. 'Cause love is all around now.
Marti Pellow, Graeme Clark and Graeme Duffin enjoying themselves there. I hope you enjoyed that as well. 85058 for your reaction to Wet 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 this evening on 5 Live, at BBC 5 Live on social media. And my thanks to Doogie Souness, the band's manager, who made that happen as well, because they'd just not long before we recorded that, flown back in from France, where they'd not seen their families for 3 weeks, and they'd been recording. And so we were grateful to them for making the time to do that. And the tour dates, if you want those in full, they are on the Wets website, but they start their tour next year, Sunday 21st of February 2016 at the Real Pavilion, then on to Dublin, Belfast, Birmingham, Liverpool, Nottingham, Brighton, Bournemouth, Leeds, Manchester, London, Plymouth, Cardiff, Newcastle, Glasgow, Aberdeen, and finishing up in Inverness on Monday the 14th of March.